year after year, Packers fans understand that the defense has been the sore thumb of this team. As hard as it is to admit, this team has struggled defensively. But this past offseason, the Packers have attacked free agency aggressively and signed one of the best pass rushers on the market, and that is Za'Darious Smith. He can play nose tackle out to outside linebacker rushing. He's one of the most dynamic players, and he's going to fit perfectly into Mike Pettine's defensive scheme. So let's break the film down today and explain why. Taking a look at this first sack, we're going to be mainly breaking down kind of Za'Darious Smith's football IQ, understanding what kind of block he's getting and how to counter it. So as we see, Za'Darious Smith is lined up as a wide 9 outside of the right tackle here. And as we pause the frame here, Za'Darious Smith was preparing for kind of a speed rush to the outside, so he's got his outside leg planted way out there. But he starts to read that the offensive line is having a slide protection to the right due to a play action. So Za'Darious Smith counters this by kind of throwing his head to the outside, drawing that offensive tackle's pass set out towards him. And by doing this, this creates a lane in the inside between the right guard and the right tackle. And Za'Darious Smith will exploit this here in just a second. So as we let the play run again, we see that Za'Darious Smith clubs back to the inside and has a free shot to Case Keenum. So after looking at Za'Darious Smith's ability to just kind of read blocks and understand what's getting thrown at him, how to counter it, let's flip the switch to his motor and his just ability to never give up on a play. So on this play, we see that Za'Darious Smith once again is lined up as a wide 9 outside of the right tackle. So he tries to give an outside rush move to get the corner to Baker Mayfield, but the right tackle does a great job of countering this by kind of posting him up with the inside arm to prepare him to run him out of the back of the pocket. But Za'Darious Smith doesn't give up here. He can give up and be kind of like a limp and just run out of the back of the pocket, or he can counter this, and that's what he does perfectly. He gets great body control and feels the tackle's momentum going to the back of the pocket, so he regains himself, takes that inside arm, replaces it, and shoves or clubs that right tackle's shoulders to kind of flip him almost backwards, and it gives him a free shot to Baker Mayfield to come in and get an easy sack. So once again, this is a great example of his high motor, his ability to counter pass sets that are given to him, and just his ability to never give up on a play. Taking a look at the next play, we're going to be breaking down how Za'Darious Smith can rush from the inside. So as we see on this play, Za'Darious Smith is lined up as a 3-tech outside of the left guard. And he sets up a kind of a club-rip combo here. So let's first look at the club. So he takes his outside arm and clubs the outside arm of that guard. This will kind of get the guard's hands off of his chest and begin to open up the guard's shoulders as he tries to replace that hand. So Za'Darious Smith exploits that by dipping his shoulder and beginning to rip through. By doing this and ripping and dipping low, it will actually help because the left guard will have less contact to be able to punch Za'Darious Smith's chest. This is set up perfectly by Za'Darious Smith. As we see, the guard's shoulders are turned, hands aren't on the chest, he's almost dipping underneath of those hands. He's going to flip his hips, run through, and get an easy sack on Patrick Mahomes. It's just a great example of Za'Darious Smith can rush from the outside or the inside or really anywhere you want him. So wrapping up the film breakdown, let me discuss where I think Za'Darious Smith's fit will be for the Packers. So as we know that he can rush from the outside, the inside, really anywhere on the defensive line. He has the strength to rush from the inside, he has the speed to rush from the outside, he has the high motor, he has football IQ, he has everything you need out of a good pass rusher to be elite. And as we know, Za'Darious Smith is still young, he's still developing, and now adding him into this Packers defense where we also signed Preston Smith, we have Kenny Clark, we have Mike Daniels, all these great pieces to kind of help Za'Darious Smith learn from. I'm excited to see what's going to come from this. So in my personal opinion, where I think Za'Darious Smith will be labeled as, he's probably going to be labeled as an outside linebacker, maybe a defensive end role starting in front of Dean Lowry. But in my honest opinion, I feel like Za'Darious Smith won't really be spending a heavy amount of time at a certain position. I feel like he's going to be that Swiss Army blade that you can plug him in and play at any position on the defensive line. Let that be nose tackle, defensive end, outside linebacker, 3-tech. He can line up in any technique that you want him to. And I feel like that's how the Packers will utilize him. As we knew from the past year, Mike Pettine was one of the most heavy blitzing teams in the league, or Mike Pettine was a heavy blitzer last year, as we know. So pairing that with Za'Darious Smith's ability to blitz from anywhere on the defensive line, I can only imagine the crazy stunts they'll draw for Za'Darious Smith. And pairing that up with the Preston Smith signing and then Kenny Clark there, it just really, they have so many pieces that they'll be able to blitz more successfully this year, and it's just going to be fun to watch. I think Za'Darious Smith will be a high production guy for the Packers. If not, he'll be drawing a lot of attention from NFL offenses because he has the ability to rush from anywhere, and it should either have him be super productive or it's going to help one of our other many pass rushers like Kenny Clark, Mike Daniels, Preston Smith to get free and have a huge productive year. So once again, like I said, that's going to wrap up the film breakdown. And my prediction for next year, Za'Darious Smith, he'll be labeled probably as a starter at outside linebacker, but he'll probably split snaps between every technique on the field because he's a Swiss Army blade like that. So, like I said, it's going to wrap up the film breakdown. Let me know what you guys think of the Za'Darious Smith signing down in the comments below. If you finished till the end, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next film breakdown. Peace.